Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So, today we are doing a discussion on Wicked. The movie part 1 came out last year in November. Um, so Alicia had asked me if I'd seen it yet, and of course I did. I've seen it multiple times already. Um, and so I was like, yeah, let's do a discussion for Wicked. So Alicia is joining me now, and then Steph is going to be joining us in a few more minutes. But we can go ahead and do our introductions. If you're new to my channel, hi, I go by Vanessa Marie Books on all my platforms. I lost Alicia. I'm sure she'll be back in a minute. But I write fantasy, paranormal, and horror. I also write a bit of poetry and nonfiction. And on my channel, I talk about all things storytelling related. So this is part of my diversity in film series where I usually have a couple friends with me where we talk about different movies and films, and the losing my train of thought. Movies and films and like the characters and diversity within them. So this is part of that series. Let me see. I saw Alicia. I think she might have lost signal. She is driving back home right now, so I think she might have lost signal for a moment. Let's see if she comes back on here in a sec. While we're waiting for her and Steph to join us as well. In the meantime, if you're here watching the live stream, leave a comment in the chat. Let me know you're here, and just if you've watched Wicked, let me know what are some of your thoughts and feelings about the movie. What did you think when you saw it? Obviously, this should go without saying, but major spoilers ahead anytime we do a diversity in films talk. There's always spoilers for the movie we're discussing. So just be aware, if you haven't watched Wicked yet, there are going to be major spoilers in the discussion. So yeah, let me know, for those of you who are watching, what your favorite parts or scenes or anything you liked about the movie or didn't like. You can leave that in a comment in the chat. And let's see if I can get Alicia back in here. I think. Oh, I think here is Steph is joining us. Hey,
I made it!
You made it.
Yeah, someone put a spell on all of my calendars or something because there was nothing. So thankfully, that's one thing that's stuck in this weird memory.
Yeah. And Alicia was here, but she said she lost signal. So she's in the car. she's in the car driving home. Oh, what did I just click? Oh, okay. She's in the car driving home, so she, I think, lost signal. But
Yeah, it looks like she's in the chat, so.
Yeah, hopefully she'll be able to join us back soon. But in the meantime, I just was going over introductions. Did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, Steph? Yep, Alicia's here.
Seriously, this is like, I am definitely been evil or something, but none of my stuff is working. So now my fan is plugged in. That'll help. Yes. So, my name is Steph. I have a username, tag name, Contraddiction. I am ex-Mormon and cancer survivor and all sorts of crazy stuff, but also a choir geek. And of course, when it was time for the musical in high school, being also a tangent drama kid, that was the best ever part of the school year. I also have now 4 of the books in the Wicked series. I've finished reading 3 of them, and they are absolutely worth hunting down if you can get a chance. If you're any kind of a book lover, like, these have everything. And honestly, I never got to see the musical. And I wanted to wait until I got to see it before I got involved in any of the music. So personally, my experience has been the books and part 1 of the movies. So I am super ready for this. And just in time, Alicia's here as soon as I finish.
Hopefully I'll be able to stay. This was the risk I took, knowing that I would be driving back. Got to spend a great weekend with family, but I'm happy to be here to discuss this with you as I'm able.
Awesome.
Yes. You sounded like you were finishing up your introduction stuff. Is that right?
Yep, I'm all set.
Perfect. Well, I am Alicia Grumley, writer Alicia Grumley, and I am one of Vanessa's co-hostesses on our Diversity is Lit, which is how our diversity in film conversations kind of originated. Sometimes it's, all of our co-hostesses from the book club. Sometimes it's some of us. But sometimes we have, guest hostesses like Steph with this. So I'm super excited and really glad we were able to eke in for July at the end of the month. And I'm happy to be here with you all and thrilled to discuss it. My experience with Wicked is basically only the soundtrack versions. I have never read the books and I've never seen it performed live on stage, and I would love to see it performed live, but just haven't had a chance when it's been nearby. So I'm excited that it's come to the screen.
I have not seen the play either, so that was one thing me and my friends wanted to do, especially I think it was earlier this year, I believe, that it came to ASU Gamage, but we didn't get a chance to see that before I left. But hopefully next time it comes to Gamage, we'll be able to go to that. So I haven't seen the play. I've only seen the movie, and now, as I was thinking about it this morning, I don't even think I've seen all of Wizard of Oz. So I've seen.
No way.
Yeah, I know
the old movie.
Yeah, so I know about the movie. I've seen a bunch of scenes and stuff, but I don't think I've sat down and watched the whole thing all the way through from beginning to end. So I still know a lot of it, but I haven't seen the whole movie.
Well, it's one of my faves. So.
That's there's actually
go ahead, Steph.
There's a friend of ours, they were talking about when they were finally going through and watching movies that they weren't allowed to watch. They finally got to see Wizard of Oz for the first time. And this was only a couple of years ago. So you are not, some freak for not seeing it yet. But they had an interesting take on it. They were frustrated at the ending because it did nothing to resolve the beginning of the movie. So it was kind of funny, like how the whole movie, when you broke it down, the core of it is really just the part where Dorothy's in Oz. And that's it. Like the ending when they're in Kansas and the beginning when they're in Kansas, there's so much disconnect. And I never realized it, even though I've seen that so many times, until they mention something. So yeah, if you do go see it, if you do sit and take some time to watch it, keep that in mind. I'm curious to see what you would think, if you might have kind of a different reaction knowing that ahead of time instead of just being used to it growing up. Is, oh yeah, no, this is a normal ending.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, there is no resolution there between the conflict and where she's at the end of the movie. So funny.
So I'll definitely have to check it out at some point and see what I think. Especially because I was also, as I was thinking about it this morning, I was also thinking, because I know with the Wizard of Oz, we know the Wicked Witch is dead. She was melted. Dorothy threw water and all that. We get that in the beginning of Wicked Part 1. We have that Glinda telling us what happened at the beginning. And I'm really interested because of the way Part 1 went, and I didn't know what to expect with a prequel of like the Wicked Witch's story. I haven't read the book either, so I didn't know what to expect with the prequel. And so I'm kind of wondering, like, what they're going to do with part 2, because I was first thinking, okay, maybe we'll find out in part 2 that she's not really dead. She like faked her death or something, but she's fine. She's out there somewhere. Because I was thinking about this and I was like, I would hate it and it would really suck if at the end of all this she really is dead. Because then you're basically saying the good one in all of this ends up with a terrible, tragic ending, and everyone gets to believe that she was some horrible person and finally died tragically, but she wasn't. She was the only good one in the movie, surrounded by all the other wicked people. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they do that with the part 2. I'm hoping we find out it's a fake death situation. Steph, you look like you're
not living your best life. Read the book.
Oh, thank you. My amazing husband. I summoned him to bring gifts and
sacrifices.
Yes. So have we gone into describing spoilers yet?
I did say this will be full of spoilers, so
okay.
Go ahead.
Because how far do we want to go in spoilers for us? Because I know better.
Right.
not just the old movie, which like you haven't seen. But I don't know. I guess the old movie does have the ending of the beginning of this one, of the musical version of Wicked. But I know the books. So I have also been really good. My husband has been, the only initiation he has is the old movie. He knew a couple of very popular songs, like I think he knew Unlimited. I think he knew maybe one or two others, but that was it. That was his only awareness of anything. And I'm sitting there in the theaters going, oh my gosh, I know what that is, and having to just keep that to myself this whole time. So, like, how much should we hold off?
I mean, I'm okay with spoilers. It's fine.
Okay.
And I'm gonna see it regardless. And I'm pretty good at predicting things. So Vanessa knows. Yeah. So I guess
it's not a faked. It's not a fake death. As awesome as that would be, but also
it's not. I figured for the play and stuff, it's not fake. Or for, well, I don't know. I was thinking the movie Wizard of Oz. I figured it wasn't fake. But I don't know. And this is the thing, because I haven't seen the play yet, so I don't know how closely the movie follows the play. I know the book is completely different. I've seen like someone do a whole entire spoiler breakdown of the entire book, so I know about the book. I know it's completely different from what they did in the play stuff. I don't know how much the movie follows the play.
Do you have a sense of that stuff?
Okay. Yeah. So that was one of the things that I really appreciated, that they broke it into two parts. Because that was one thing I didn't really have any interest of seeing the musical in. Because it's not like, I've read Les Mis, and I grew up obsessed with Les Mis because Andrew Lloyd Webber is like almost like a what's the Catholic one where they pray to the people?
Saint?
Like you get your own personal saint. Thank you. That's the word.
Andrew
Lloyd Webber is, he's kind of like a saint, I guess, for Mormons. Like most Mormon kids know all of Phantom. They know all of Les Mis. I was obsessed with Cats, even though a lot of people can't stand it. So I knew the disconnect between Les Mis in the book and the musical. But it still had pretty much the same endings. It still had a lot of similar things happen to the characters. And I really appreciated that when I did get to really finally read the book. By the way, I had to get 2 copies because the last 50 pages of my copy fell off because that book is so big. But yeah, but that was absolutely something I loved about what they did with Wicked the movie, because they did fill in a lot of it. There was a lot of stuff that, oh my gosh, I recognize what they're doing. I know what they're doing when they're building up this character. They've added so much more depth here. And it was really kind of nice to see that. Because the musical itself is what, 2.5 hours? And they definitely, and it wasn't just, panning around with the environment and filling in, oh my gosh, look how cool this thing looks, and filling in time that way. There were a lot more details added to it. And it was really nice that way. Also, it definitely sets up the second movie for an awful lot. Like, I don't know how much they went into the politics of the first movie, but definitely
they were starting to get there a little bit, it seemed like.
I mean, yeah, like with I don't know how much they did the politics in the musical, but absolutely, these books, they're not quite the the one about the old Wizard of Oz movie, where it's centered more about like the dream, the fantasy, the little bedtime story you would tell a kid. That's the purpose of the books. It goes into the politics around why the witch was set to be killed, why the wizard was going after her in the first place. And that's one reason I fell in love with these books. That author, I have a bunch of his now, and that's one thing he loves to do, is take these characters and flesh out this whole world that they're in. And he was able to see there's something about politics that he could play with, and he absolutely did. So that was really, I loved that they really made sure that that was the focus on the musical as far as they're tying it into the movie. I loved that part of it. That's what made it so that I could really connect with it. There wasn't we're going to soften it because it's a musical and we don't want to get too political. No, they leaned into it with the movie, and it was great.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a social commentary more than just the musical, right? Like they didn't water it down at all, which seems great.
Which is why I was wondering about the part 2 with their death, because it's so much about the social commentary and stuff. I'm like, okay, so what message are we gonna get if she actually dies? Like,
And I don't want to spoil her on that part, but I have a suspicion she's fighting for right. That's what it is. That's how it's not necessarily spun, but that there are some things worth dying for, like in your beliefs and in your systems. And I suspect that would have to be the way to do it, because anything else would be, to your point, Vanessa, that like we're leaving the audience with this knowledge that like, oh, the only one who is like fighting the system, the only one who's a sense of morality, the only one that sees things beyond surface level, right? Because she's green. And that was definitely pun intended. But the only one who sees beyond, skin deep is lost in the fight. And like, it gives that sense of hopelessness without acknowledging like there are some things that are worth putting your life on the line for, I think. So that's how I would expect it to be spun. And I'm interested to see, because I think you're right, Vanessa. I think they're going to have to walk a very, very careful line to make sure that it's portrayed that way. But I also get the feeling that the production team and the actors and the actresses that are involved just really love and value this story. So I think they want to make sure to do it justice around. And, because that is Elphaba too, right? Like if you're looking at Elphaba's character development, from what I know of the songs themselves, right? And from what I know of Defying Gravity, which I know we're going to talk about, right? The crux of Elphaba's character, because she's an 8, she's an Enneagram 8. Like she wants justice, she wants freedom. She's going to stand up for the people who don't have those things, or the characters that don't have those things in her world, right? So the animals, being an animal rights activist, and the way that it's tilted throughout Wicked, right? It's not like how we would interpret animal rights activists here in modern reality, right? But I still think that it's a fair statement. So I think that because of the character that she is and how she was created, I could totally see her being willing to die for justice, willing to die for the ways that she knows things are right. And if that's what it means, and because she's coming into this power, I could see that she could also accidentally hurt herself because of some of those things. She doesn't know the power. She's trying to control her emotions, and we all know that her emotions help her power be stronger, right? Like that's magic 101. Like not even just Wicked 101, right? But that's magic 101. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they walk that line. But if they are doing as good of a job, like staying true to the musical as it sounds like they are, we will probably get to see some satisfaction of that line, even though it's still going to be a hard death, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can tell you, her legacy does not end with her death.
Okay.
The second book is called Son of a Witch.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Yes.
So and that one is, again, this author is so good at building these whole worlds that he was able to go beyond just the original movie, and like it's so fun reading his stories. By the way, there's also one specifically about Elphaba's childhood. That's the one so there's the movie theater that we go to right next to it, because it's in the mall. Right next to that, there's this little bookstore, and they specialize in like they raid thrift store books. They raid like library sales, things like that. They just find these little books and then sell them really low price. Somehow they managed to get a hold of a copy of this one. And they are such horrible people. They will put amazing books right on this cart, right in front of the store, so that you can see the whole cover. And they know that people like me will just be tortured walking by.
They like know your comment.
There's been times I was almost late to the movie because a book like just made me do a whiplash. Like, oh my gosh, I have to get it. No, I can't. So yeah, but that one was the one that they put in front, was the one about her being a kid.
Isn't there also one about the Cowardly Lion? Am I remembering a book cover with the Cowardly Lion on the front of it by Gregory Maguire?
I think that one's called The Lion Among Men, if I'm remembering exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, and that one it's about the Cowardly Lion. So it's, again, you find out what happens with the Scarecrow. You find out exactly how the wizard co-opted Dorothy into this. We saw in the first movie exactly how he was co-opting everybody else, how he tried to co-opt Elphaba, how he was able to co-opt Glinda. Of course he was able to do it with a child. Like, it was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, I love Jeff Goldblum, right? But like, I think he's going to be an excellent wizard. Like, the second he came on the screen, though, I was like, nope, I'm out. I'm done. I don't trust this guy. Get out of here, right? Like, I knew, like, this is going to be an ultimate problem. But now, granted, like, once again, good at predicting. It's not, like, hard to predict that. But I was just like, oh, he's going to play this so excellently. And my fiance, who is currently driving, his favorite movie as a kid was Wizard of Oz. Like, watched it so many times that his, like, parents, like, lost the DVD at one point. Oh, the VHS went bad because it was rewound and watched so many times. But he didn't start watching it with me. But then near the end, he walked in right about when Jeff Goldblum came on screen. He walked in and he did not leave until that movie was over. I was like, I invited you to watch this with me. He's like, I know, but now I'm watching it. So I think it won't be too hard to convince him to go see part 2 because he's interested in the political part of it also. But I think Jeff Goldblum is really going to do an excellent job with this role of the wizard, who is, you know, a wizard among men, or, you know, like there's absolute power grabs, absolutely. And I think that we're going to get to see a really great example of that in part 2.
Yeah. Okay, so since we're on the topic of him, I didn't see any trailers. I just knew it was coming. And again, like with everything that they've been doing in trailers, because they're convinced people are stopping watching movies for one reason. And so they try to give more information in the trailers. And that's backfiring.
Yeah.
I just knew it was coming, and I was just waiting until I got to go. So I didn't see who was who.
Oh yeah.
I didn't recognize the face in the stone when she's singing "The Wizard and I," because it was
Oh.
vague enough. It wasn't obvious to me.
I did. I was like, is that Jeff Goldblum?
Here's the problem. Jeff Goldblum is one of my very first crushes as a kid. When I first saw Jurassic Park, and I heard this man, insanely intelligent, talking all this science stuff. First off, when I'm attracted to someone, it's their brain, it's their intelligence, it's what the heck is going on up here. So when Hammond in that part jokes around about, I brought scientists, you brought a rock star. Now he's also a rock star because I'm a little kid, and that's just how little kids' brains work. They're like literally associating that. So he's insanely smart. He's a rock star, and he's handsome. I didn't know what a crush was at that point, but that was one of my first. And so, yeah, I was not ready for him to be. In theaters, I was like, no way, I can't.
That was the surprise for you.
I was my husband started laughing at me. He's like, you didn't know it? I'm like, no, I can't handle this. So I'm like, dang it, he would sucker me. I would fall for it.
Well, but that's the thing, right? Like, I think he plays that line so well of that charismatic, like he's the politician before the smarminess, right? Like he's the way that you can see how charisma can affect the masses. And, like we all are prepared for the smarmy politicians. We all know, like, listen, this is propaganda and this is bullshit. But it's a really interesting commentary to me of how quickly that can change and how quickly and easily people can believe what they're being fed, right? Because it like, if you spin it well enough, sure, why wouldn't it be? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't it be believed? So I think he was a great choice. I'm really looking forward to seeing it, even though I think it's going to be devastating to watch him be the wizard. Which, I mean, is another, like, like notch in his belt, like tick in the, like, great job, great casting. But I think he was trying to spin this beautiful story for Elphaba, and like he even gives her the line, everyone deserves a chance to fly, and then it's like, no, oh no, like she has to fly because he is after her, like and spinning it, like she's wicked, and then the head teacher, I can't remember what her name is, but the teacher from Shit University.
The one who's teaching Marble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, so dangerous. And, like, you just feel for Elphaba because it's like, who is on her side? Who is on Elphaba's side? And that's part of it, right? That's part of the character development, is knowing that sometimes it's lonely being on the side of justice, I think.
Yeah,
it's the animals. Like the first person who actually stops to make sure she's okay is her nurse, is the bear.
Yeah,
and like that I think is probably what led her down that choice, because that's literally her origin story.
I mean, she was like mom. She was raised by her, the bear, her nurse. So,
yeah, knowing what I knew about the animals and watching the movie, I'm like, oh my gosh, oh, she's gonna get so hurt. Oh, she's gonna get so heartbroken. And then, yeah, also knowing what I know about Fiyero. And you see a little bit, it's very, very brief what you see about him. But he plays a huge part later, for sure.
Well, before we go into him, I was going to say with the wizard, I don't know, maybe I'm totally off and wrong about this, but I thought he was going to end up being Elphaba's dad, actual dad. Are we gonna find out who her dad is?
No.
Oh.
In the book, he's basically this, like, for lack of a better word, snake oil salesman. He's just this dude who's traveling. He's like literally the traveling salesman joke about that's where someone was born. That was him. And he does have these potions, and her mom does fall for him. And it's multiple times that he comes by. Like, it's a very short moment, but it also kind of works because he is there so briefly in the story as far as Elphaba's life. He doesn't even stick around for her to be born. He's gone by the time that happens. But yeah, he's there and he's gone. You don't see anything of him again.
Okay. I thought he would end up being the wizard.
Right? No, the wizard is a dude who did somehow make it from Kansas. Like, that does still stick. Which is why he's the one who introduces the concept of a cage and all of these other things that he brings with him. Like, before he shows up, animals are just animals and they're just people. They're normal. There's nothing different really about them. But when he shows up, he starts talking about it's weird that you guys are this friendly, this close with animals. And so he starts feeding that narrative because that's normal for him. Because he showed up magic, they believe him.
Right. It's like in the Barbie movie, when Ken comes over from Barbie Land and he makes it the Mojo Dojo Casa House. Like come on, Ken, like relax. So yeah, I can see that, but isn't that so interesting to think about that facet of the discussion of, like, this is someone who was unhappy in his world, and the only way that he could be happy in the world that he's in is, like, to be oppressive. And this is too good. This is too good. I mean, it's like stick the knife in a little deeper, but it's I think they're doing a great job with it so far. I've really enjoyed it, even though I've only seen it once so far. Don't worry, I'll fix it.
Twice.
Don't worry.
Twice.
Vanessa, how many times are you at?
I don't even know.
No, she's up to like 12.
I don't know. 4 was just in theaters. Okay, I've seen that 4 in theaters.
Okay, I was right about one number.
I don't know now. Yeah, what was I going to say? Okay, so I guess going back to the other characters, Steph, what were you gonna say about Fiero?
Okay, so I love I love Fiero in the movie. Oh my gosh, this dude, just the absolute chaos that he shows up for one day and turns the entire school around. Like, everyone's suddenly breaking the rules. Like, it's just, he's got Galinda like totally losing her mind, and
Like, I see what you're saying, but I'm also like, did they really break any rules? Because if so, why didn't Miss Marvel? She was there. She could have, stopped the Ozball or whatever. Because wasn't that the thing they weren't supposed to be going to the Ozball dust room or something like that?
And I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
So she does what she does the rest of the show. She used that to her advantage.
I figured it was just bigger fish to fry. Yeah.
She knew that was a way that she could get get Elphaba more under her control by making her feel accepted by at least one person. And also, Glinda's easy to use. She wanted one thing, and that was just the acceptance of her and to be taken seriously in her eyes. Like, she still didn't quite get that because she was still insulted. But she was able to see, like, oh my gosh, I'm getting a little bit. Oh, if I just do this one thing, and pretend to be your friend, then I can get what I want. Like, she was able to totally twist that. And if that professor had instead, like, gone off, kicked out all the students of the club, gotten them all marked as in trouble, and demerited whatever system they had, she wouldn't have been able to have that same impact. She would have lost that chance to control. And that, because I was kind of thinking the same. I'm like, wait, why didn't she? But watching it the second time, knowing what the end goal was for her, you can see it differently.
That's interesting because I didn't.
But yeah,
I didn't even think about that because I did think about another scene where I thought, oh, she's probably controlling the situation, and she did this purposefully to, like, get Elphaba to, like, tap into her power more. And it was the scene where they had the professor, the goat, taken away and replaced him, and you have the new professor, whatever, who comes in with the baby lion in the cage, and that upsets Elphaba enough to, like, do whatever she did to put everyone to sleep. And that's when Miss Marvel was like, oh, okay, I think she's ready now to go meet the wizard.
and funny how she was so able quickly to get to that classroom. Almost like she knew that something was going to happen because Elphaba was going to be there.
Well, that's why I think she was.
Yeah, she totally planned.
I think she planned to have him removed during her class, during Elphaba's class, because they could have done it at any time, and, like, before class started, and they wouldn't have. It wouldn't have been as impactful as having her there to see them forcibly remove him and bring in the other professor with the baby lion. And so I think, that whole thing she orchestrated purposefully to get Elphaba to, like, really ramp up her power. Because while she's practicing with her in her office, she realizes that the way to tap into her power is through her emotions, especially anger. And so she knew this would be something to make her really angry and riled up.
Well, and it's not just anger, right? It was so undignified. It took away her professor friend's dignity, because this is a professor. This is supposed to be someone who is adept and respected at teaching magic. And, yes, just because they're an animal does not mean, just because he's an animal does not mean that those things should have been taken away. And it made Elphaba angry because of the lack of dignity, going back to her origin story, because the animals were the only ones that have ever showed her kindness. They're the only ones who she feels understood by, because they're a little different too. They're different in that they can talk. They're different, like, she's different with her skin color, and sheer abuse of the fact that she's not only that she's being manipulated, but that you're doing that in a classroom full of students. Like, that is absolutely inappropriate at any level, right? Like any professor to be taken out of their room like that, like, yeah, of course the news stories are going to come out and those kinds of things. And not that people who are doing wrong, shouldn't be removed from those situations where they're hurting other people. But the fact is, this professor was teaching free thought, was teaching, question authority, and
Oh no, you froze.
out, but it made her angry. And I think it hurt her because on some level, I think in the back of this, if this is what can happen to people who are different, what's going to happen to me? Right? If this can happen in front of everyone where it's very clear what's going on, how long until they come for me? Right? Like they say, no one mourns the wicked. And she's not, but no one does mourn the wicked. And it's the wicked is in power right now. That's hard and scary for her, I think. And especially to be in that vulnerable state of not understanding her and to come into this like moment of seeing, okay, what's not here. Maybe someone can help me fix this. Maybe Wizard can help me fix this.
Right.
And they can't. Did I freeze?
A few times, but
Yeah.
For most of it, you came through. But yeah, you said that he was teaching free thought and defying authority, but we missed the next, but also like actual history. Which was funny when one of the students says, sorry, I thought we were supposed to be learning history. And he's trying to teach history. Oh yeah, no, it was Galinda that said that.
Yeah.
But she also said that because she's petty and he wouldn't say her name right. But, but yeah, he was also doing that part. So that scene where he's taken away, the part in the Ozdas ballroom, there's a few things I do want to point out regarding Fiyero, because he does seem like such a, like, yeah, he's there. Yeah, he has an impact, but he's nowhere near the main character in the story. What he does, when you stop for a moment, he is more important. Like, yeah, it's really funny because he's shallow, but he's one of the characters I have fun diving into. So one of the first times you see him, when he runs into Elphaba for the first time, he shows up on a horse of a different color. Like, you can kind of tell later it's blue, not black. But it's talking. And he's talking with it. Like, it's a friend of his. So he also has that interaction with animals. When that scene with the poppies, when she puts them all to sleep accidentally, which is one of my favorite callbacks of the old movie, by the way.
I was actually wondering why he didn't follow.
Yeah.
Couldn't figure that out.
I can't remember exactly why he doesn't fall asleep. I think it's because she does have some closer interaction with him over the other people. And she doesn't care about Glinda at that point. She's like, she won't care. She's not like, she doesn't care if I get really angry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's becoming more my friend, but yeah, there was something else with him that they do kind of go into later, I believe. But that scene, he is one of the people when she says, is anyone else gonna aren't we gonna do anything about this? And he's the one that says, what do you mean we? Like, he's already like kind of trying to distance himself, but he's the one that stands up and gets the cup. He's the one that actually does something first.
Yeah.
And when she questions him about that, he gets scared. He realizes, oh my gosh, she can actually see who I am. And it freaks him out because not everybody actually does that to him. But there was one other part too. Like, he in the Oz Dust Ballroom, when Elphaba is dancing, and Glinda is starting to feel horrible, and she says, "Oh my gosh, I feel so awful about this." And he says, "Why? You didn't do anything." That's his first day there. He doesn't know what she's been doing. He doesn't understand the reason that people are treating her so rottenly is because of her influence. If she'd have done anything different, if she'd been kinder to her, it would have been a totally different scene. And so he doesn't understand why she's feeling guilt. That part was an important one that I noticed with him. But then also, like, after when she's singing "Not That Girl," he's watching for her. He's trying to figure out what the heck, why is she doing this to me? And yeah, a lot of people are like, well, maybe she's got a spell on him. No, it's real. What's going on with him is real. And yeah, so for him to be the one that also jumps in to take care of the animals, yeah, you do see that he's starting to feel conflicted when they're at the train station. And it's real. What he's doing, he's becoming less shallow. And that kind of is why he becomes one of my favorite characters to pay attention to. Also, I've got a note. He's a nihilist, but he's not an optimistic nihilist. He's the one that's he's more like eat, drink, and be merry, not eat, drink, and leave a mark. But it's Elphaba's influence that starts to change that for him. Also, I hate what he does to the library. It ticks me off so much. When he's kicking around books and just throwing I hate him.
Rough. That was rough to watch. Like, whoa, bud. Rein her in there.
Like, we're all readers. So.
That's actually that was my brother's favorite scene because he's a dancer, and so "Dancing for Life" was his favorite song.
It's the greatest dance scene too in the whole movie. I love, like, if I had to stop and push away the literature, like the bookworm side of me, so that I could enjoy the dance. It's so fun. It's a great song. But oh my gosh, the way he's stepping on the books.
Yeah.
And the blurred sexuality. The way that the guys are fawning over him and the way he's kind of flirting with them. Oh, dude, I love that.
That was definitely something I wanted to talk about. I was like, this is a really, really interesting way that they are expressing that sexuality is a spectrum, right? Like that
it's normal in that place.
Yeah. Right. And I was like, good for everybody. Good for you all. Like, loving it. And yeah, I thought that they did a really good job. Hold on, sorry.
You're good.
Good. I thought that was a really interesting aspect of the whole movie, was just how sexuality was treated as a spectrum, openly, honestly, like everybody was having a grand old time. I am a little unfamiliar with what age everyone's supposed to be. Are the
they're college.
They are college. Okay, that's what I thought. But then I was like, maybe Nessa Rose is younger. Because I know she's Elphaba's younger sister, but I wasn't sure if it was like 20 and 18 or like 18 and 16. I couldn't quite remember what the age range was. But I mean, not young adult, right? Or like not like young adult like how we've been previously using the genre, but like new adult, I think, is like in literature the way that we've kind of been trending towards that. Yeah. So okay, that does confirm that for me then, because I have since watched some previews of part 2, and because I'm like waiting. I'm waiting. There's trailers out for part 2.
No, really? Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I didn't know.
I've only seen one teaser.
I guess I've only seen the one trailer, but I've watched it, and I've watched other people react to it, like the current like Broadway Wicked cast react to to the trailer. So that's kind of been a fun one to see. But yeah, I figured they had to be kind of like, I mean, if they were teenagers, it had to be very upper teenager level.
18,
Yeah.
19, yeah. And that does, yeah, because Elphaba's only a couple years, maybe 3 years older than her sister.
Okay.
And she didn't go to university because she's not worth it. She's not, she's not valued the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why she wasn't already attending, because her dad is like, absolutely not. You're not good enough to go there. Now, so Rose, on the other hand, and so yeah,
I've also done some reading about Nessa Rose's origin story and such, and because she is technically the Wicked Witch of the East, is Nessa Rose.
Yeah.
So, are we diving in? Are we diving into Nessa Rose? Are we going to do that part of it?
Yeah, we can. She's the one that gets the house chopped on her, right when Dorothy lands in Oz.
Yeah.
And those shoes, they do stay with her. They're not ruby like they are in the old movie. They are, but it does follow the actual book that he wrote.
It follows the original Wizard of Oz. Not even, I don't know about Gregory Maguire's, but in L. Frank Baum's book, they are silver slippers. So I liked that little detail also.
I think they did that in the old movie because they knew it was going to be Technicolor. It was going to be, this color was going to be a huge thing. So they wanted to be able to accent the color of the shoes as well.
Yeah. And I liked the callback with because I did think we got a callback to the ruby red slippers.
We did.
When Glinda's giving, when she's trying to help her get her makeover, right? Popular.
Yeah.
Gonna be popular. Yeah, so all right, so Nessa Rose, that was the big reason we wanted to have the conversation, and let's do it. Let's do it. I feel like, oh man, here we go. Get bucked up.
She was the one when I was watching, I'm like, oh, this is gonna kick it off. This is gonna be an episode. And thank you for inviting me. That was cool. So again, I know the version of the book, so I really wanted to hear what you guys thought about her.
Well, I know, like I said, even though I haven't read the book or seen the play, I still don't know some things. So I know she's the Wicked Witch of the East and stuff. And I know that at some point, again, for anyone watching, spoilers for everything. But I know that she, at one point, ends up walking. Elphaba ends up making her walk, I believe. And then
Elphaba makes her walk or helps her?
Well, not makes, but I think
gives her the ability to walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then let me see there, and then there was something with Nessa Rose with that Munchkin boy she had a crush on.
Bach,
right? Because he, I think, was wanting to leave, and if I'm remembering, I don't know if I'm remembering right from the review I've seen, but I think they said that he does leave after she starts walking, but then I think Nessa Rose ends up doing something that puts his life in danger, and so Elphaba, in order to save him, ends up turning him into the Tin Man, I believe.
I think so. It's been a minute, and hers is kind of fuzzy since I was so focused on Elphaba.
Gotta have a snack. Sorry. Snack time.
So that's kind of some of what I know of Nessa Rose's story.
Yeah.
The one thing I am really interested to see, which I know, others within the disabled community are interested as well, to see how they do with part 2, because obviously the whole storyline with her walking is going to have to be changed. So I'm interested to see how they do that, what they do with that, and how the storyline, like what they include instead for that part. So I am really glad to see that they hired an actual disabled actress, for both the older and the younger Nessa Rose, which I thought was cool because they could have easily done it for one and just had the younger one, But yeah, they hired disabled actresses for both, and I thought that was really cool. Especially, I feel like seeing having kids who are disabled who grow up seeing this, like, I feel like it gives more of a what's the word I'm looking for, but like,
Well, it's more representation.
Where they're feeling seen. That's the word I want. Representation.
Right. Representation and like inspiration as well. That and that they could do it too. Because I know, and this is something I've mentioned in my nonfiction book on how to write disabled characters. One of the things I mentioned in the beginning was like not having and not seeing disabled characters in wheelchairs on screen growing up. That is one of the things that like made me think, oh, I can never be an actress because they're never gonna hire someone in a wheelchair to be an actress, because you're so limited in the roles that you can do. But I'm glad that we can see more and more disabled actors and actors in these roles to like show that, yeah, you can act too. Doesn't matter your disability or whatever, you can still follow that dream and, become an actor or an actress. So I really like that. And then, so yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes with part 2 with that. But what were your thoughts?
I definitely recognize like the way, which the name of the professor was perfect, Professor Coddle. How she was actually trying to coddle Nessa Rose the whole time.
Right.
And on top of that, Nessa Rose had already been coddled her entire life. And Elphaba was the only one that was like trying to actually help her feel normal in any way. And so, yeah, it was absolutely frustrating for both of them for this moment where Nessa Rose is supposed to be like gaining her own time, her own independence. And immediately she's being coddled by one of the people that works there. But then it's also like she doesn't want to be embarrassed and have this reputation as Elphaba's sister, the one who is insane and crazy and green. So yeah, that you see that embarrassment in her, like, and it's heartbreaking because, like, she's always been coddled because of her disability. She hasn't ever been embarrassed of because of her disability. So she doesn't understand what that would feel like. It's kind of funny. Like, and that's kind of what a piece of what leads her to become the Wicked Witch of the East, really, is that lack of disconnect. Or not that lack of disconnect, that disconnect itself. But yeah, it was, and it's another one of those things where you can be disabled and it's fine. Like, people will still make sure that you are good. Just don't be that different. Which, in the wizard eyes, that's not okay for you to be disabled and in a wheelchair. You're not as good as everybody else is. And that does play a part in why she becomes the Wicked Witch of the East. So it's, again, it's the whole idea Elphaba can see is if they're going after the animals, who's next? They're going to go after me. They're going to go after my sister. They're going to go after... It's not okay to be, like, gay or lesbian in the world he came from. So he's going to go after all the people who have this more fluid sense of sexuality. And she can see this progression, but Nessa Rose can't. And it's because she's been protected this whole time. But she does recognize later on that Bach was trying to be with her because Galinda convinced him, and Galinda convinced him too because, oh, we should feel bad for her.
Mm-hmm.
And when she realizes that at the train station and she sees through all of that, she sees who Bach really is actually, like, rooting for. That's why she bails. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that does have an impact on their relationship when they're older.
Well, and I wanted to talk about that too, because the only reason that Elphaba even started trying to give Glinda a chance is because Nessa Rose asked her to. And it was against Elphaba's, well, I mean, at the time, better judgment. And, you know, things were not going well. And, like, Nessa Rose was like, don't say a bad word about her. She has been lovely to me. And, like, Elphaba can't trust much, but she trusts her sister. And I think that's what makes it so hard, probably, I'm assuming, for part 2, you know, seeing some of that. And I think that Elphaba is in a hard situation with Nessa Rose too, because her father only lets her attend university to look out for Nessa Rose. But as Elphaba's been saying all the times, Nessa Rose doesn't need help. She can do it. She doesn't need the help. And then to have that pressure put on her of, like, because I think her dad even says to her, if anything happens to you, I'm going to, something, like, he threatens violence of some large degree, right? Like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but like your value to me is only as good as keeping my child alive. Like, back to Steph's point of, you know, the like that Elphaba hasn't been as valued. And I think that's a really hard spot to be in too, because of how much she loves her sister. And she does want to protect her sister and keep her sister safe in ways that are socially acceptable. She wants to keep her sister safe, from my understanding, because she's her sister, not because she's a wheelchair user, right? Like, that's my understanding, at least.
Right. And I do like that as well, that she's kind of the only one who really sees how, like, capable Nessa Rose is and allows her to have that independence and to do things on her own. Where, you know, whereas everyone else would have coddled her but she doesn't. And I wonder if that's even part of maybe why we don't see the other students coddle her either. Like Buck, asked her out of because Glinda asked him to, and it's out of pity and stuff. But it's not like it's not like it's. I guess I would say it's not like it's a coddling thing. I think where it's
a shallow pity, just like what she always does. It's performative. Oh, there's that poor girl in a wheelchair. It would be wonderful if someone helped her out, if someone cared about her, and it's just that.
Her shallow pity with Elphaba when they first meet as well. Like, if you ever want to address the problem, I plan to major in sorcery. So yeah, there is that fake pity, which also made me think when I was watching that scene as well. It also made me think with Nessa Rose, her character, and her being with Bach, especially from what I know of or what I've heard of that happens in part 2, because it sounds, from how it was described in part 2, it sounds like she becomes pretty obsessive with Bach. And so I was wondering though, like, does she even really like him, or does she just like that he was the first one to actually give her attention in that way?
I think she actually does. She, like, when they first were at the orientation, they both were kind of catching each other's eye, like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And yeah, it keeps happening where they do kind of do that whole, like, oh my gosh, he's cute. Oh, she's cute. Like, that happens throughout. And so that's why she's actually excited when he does ask her to go to the dance with him. She doesn't know that he's been requested to. But she gradually starts seeing that. And so she does actually like the guy. She's has a blast with him. But when she sees Bach's real interest is with Glinda, and she sees the performative name change and how he still falls for that and says, oh my gosh, you're the best, or something like that, it kind of ticks her off. And so, yeah, she does become more possessive because of that. She doesn't want to share him with anybody else, especially not Glinda. So that's where that stems from.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to me because, like, we're talking about this dynamic. Like, I thought at one point he actually kind of liked her too, and then the lukewarm switch of, like, oh, here's this, like, cotton candy goddess floating on a cloud, Glinda, and there she is, and it's like, oh, it felt so much more, once again, back to that surface level with Glinda, and that she was using and manipulating that situation because she was not attracted to him. I think that was clear from their first interaction, and it just seemed like they were, like, that Bach and Nessa Rose were going to at least be real friends, if nothing else. And I felt kind of mad at Bach after that. Like, oh, like, why are you being so manipulated by this? Like you have been then doing the like flirty back and forth, smiling yourself with her. Like, yeah, of course. And yeah, Glenda she did manipulate that situation, but she's also observant enough to have seen it, right? Like it wouldn't have worked if she hadn't observed some of those interactions somehow, right? Like seeing some of the ways that they looked at each other, or like seeing some of Nessa Rose looking at Bach or something, right? Like she knew it was going to be a situation. And maybe it was just because Glenda's like, oh, here's like, go Nessa Rose, here's my pity offspring shoot, like here's my my secondhand helpings, right? Or like I can't remember what it's called, my cast offs.
Yeah.
What?
Leftovers.
Yeah, like leftovers, right? Like here's I have more than I need, so you're Nessa Rose. And it just was, it made me so mad because I'm like, what the heck? Why are we at this situation? Because I thought we were going to get to see, like, also, I mean, granted, it's not like necessarily like a happy feel good story, right? Like it's not designed as that happy feel good, I would think. But I thought we were going to get to see some of that with Nessa Rose. I thought we were going to get to see some of her and Bach and getting to see some of that. And so it was like, you're just being manipulated too. Like, no, thank you. And I think it's going to be really interesting because she is spreading her wings and she is coming into her own a little bit. So as she becomes more possessive, I think it's going to be probably really hard to watch, because I think at this point, I'm kind of neutral on Nessa Rose, like neutral, leaning toward liking her. But I suspect that's going to change very quickly. Whereas, and now granted, Elphaba is the main character. It's designed to give us this sense of compassion for Elphaba, right? But I think we're going to be dramatically tipping into how Nessa Rose behaves come November.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's totally by design. Like, again, this is why I love these books. If you want to see these characters more fleshed out, they absolutely are. There's no way that the musical could really give their story and their personalities in 2.5 hours. There's no way that this movies can do it in 5. But these books, like, these are full on people that are put together. And yeah, but they have enough of the little pieces in the musical and definitely in the movie that it will make sense on what happens in the next part. But yeah, it's the little seeds on what's going on are definitely in there. And you're supposed to be neutral with Nessa Rose. You're supposed to be like, okay, I understand what's going on with her. I understand, oh, she's basically been taken care of in any way possible. Oh, yeah, Elphaba's the only one that's like given her any sense of independence. And so, yeah, when she's around people that do not, do encourage her independence, like all of the other students, and oh my gosh, this guy likes me. It's cool. Like, it's great. Because she probably hasn't had that first crush before, because she was always protected from heartbreak, I'm sure, too.
Right. Nobody was allowed to get close enough to even date.
And I think part of why I was asking that earlier is because I think of it's because we didn't get, like Alicia said, we didn't get those moments with her and Bach beforehand that made me go, well, is there really something there? Because we don't, up until the ball, the night of the ball, where we see them have one short conversation, we don't really see them talk or have any conversations. We have the scene where he asks her out, but we don't even actually hear anything that was said between them, and we get nothing before that until the ball, where we get that one short little thing. So that's where I was thinking for that, but I lost it. Steph had said something that made me think of something else, and now I lost it.
She was cuddled from everything, including heartbreak. I was just trying to give you some keys, like, yeah, triggered something.
Yeah, how she's supposed to be the neutral one.
Oh,
and you don't get to see any hint of her personality. She's also protected from any kind of judgment.
Yeah. Well, and see, it's interesting because I was neutral about her up until the dance scene, and then there was some judgment. I was judging a bit on her character after that scene because of the fact that, you know, she sees her sister Elphaba up there dancing, and well, yeah, okay, maybe it seems weird to everyone, but she's still your sister, and she kind of just, like, kind of
back from it. Yeah.
Shame, like, kind of wanting to distance herself and hang her head in shame and stuff. And I'm like, and it's even said it, even Elphaba, I was like, oh man, poor Elphaba, because even she realizes how ashamed Nessa Rose is of her, because she says in the song, The Wizard and I, she has that line where she says, no father's not proud of you, no sister acts ashamed. And I'm just like, wow, that is, that really ticked me off. Because you know the type of person your sister is, and you know what a good person they are, and so even if they did something you saw as embarrassing or whatever, it's like you can still have your sister's back, like.
Yeah.
So,
Steph, are you familiar with the Enneagram at all?
Vaguely, I know I've seen it a few times. It's just
definitely worth looking into if you get a chance. There's, according to the Enneagram, there's 9 personality types, and you heard me mention earlier that Alphaba's an 8, and she's very justice focused. But that sense of betrayal that came from Nessa Rose in that scene, Vanessa, that you're talking about, is like even more damaging because Elphaba always stands up for everyone else. And the fact that the one person who was supposed to stand up for her didn't made it like even more problematic, because the Enneagram talks about, like, we all have each personality type has a particular wound that is caused, that express it, or that is shown in how we're expressed to the world. And for 8s, and I can speak to this because I'm also an 8, being vulnerable is really hard. It is like the ultimate no thank you, you stay over there. Like, I will deal with my anger because it's easier than being scared. And for Nessa Rose not to do what Glenda did, right? Not to join her in the fray, not to join her, not to be like, no, don't laugh at her, she's my sister, not to be like, come on, let's get out of here, Alphaba. Like, that is worse. That is worse than anything else. And
instead she says, I can't watch this. Yeah. Right. Also, I can't help but laugh, but when you use the phrase, she didn't stand up, and I'm thinking she's in a wheelchair.
Right.
It's just like, it's kind of poetic, you know.
Right. Well,
The one person who should have physically couldn't. So, right, that's my twisted sense of humor.
yeah, it's all right. That's good. It's good. But no, I think Vanessa, the point that you just made is sorry, I'm like getting this like weird glare across my face and I cannot figure out where it's coming from. No, I think that point of Nessa Rose's shame weighs more than Elphaba's protectiveness, right? Like Nessa Rose's like disinterest and like that shame is just like the perfect word for it, is just the ultimate betrayal for Elphaba. And I think that getting to see how some of that affects their relationship going forward is going to be really interesting because of that. Because it's the one thing that could have changed it. Like if it had been the person that'll, go to bat for you, shall we say, to take that away. The person that'll go to bat for an 8 is of a high esteem because it's, oh yeah, this is the way we interact with everyone. So to have someone interact that way for us it takes the weight of the world off the shoulders. And to be expecting someone to do it and then feel the betrayal of it, it's, oh, that is super vulnerable. So it hits at so many of those levels. So that was like such an excellent scene. If we had to pick one like characterization scene, now granted, Defying Gravity, I do want to make sure we talk about obviously the songs, and I would love to talk about the fashion and some of the like fashion choices and things too.
So good. And the animals,
I know.
I'm going to spend some time on the animals for sure.
But
definitely.
Yeah, but to what you were saying with the now I lost. What was the last thing you said again?
That scene. Wait, did you say me or Steph? Sorry.
You, Alicia.
Yeah, that scene of the like at the Oswald like was the like characterization of Nessa Rose and Elphaba's like shard of glass part of their relationship.
Which reminds me. So, like, again, it's kind of hard because I know why they didn't have Nessa Rose do anything at that scene, even though I really wanted her to, and she should have, being her sister. But I'm pretty sure that was because it's meant to be a moment for Galinda to connect with Elphaba and for them to share that moment and for her to see that, Galinda is actually a friend and will have her back. And so I think, obviously that's why they did that. Still could have had Nessa Rose do something instead of just being like, I can't watch this. But yeah.
You do see a hint of it though, even before that scene. Like the scenes that you have Nessa Rose in from the beginning of the movie are when Elphaba's showing the pop-up book, telling her stories, being really good with her, and then the other neighborhood kids show up and start bullying Elphaba. But Nessa Rose is so little, like you don't necessarily see if she has any judgment. She doesn't understand like what to do yet because she's so little. But then the next time you see her is when she's grown up and she's going to this university and she's really excited. And when Miss Caudle shows up and tries, pushing her wheelchair around, even though she's telling her not to, Elphaba stands up for her and says, hey, can you not? She's fine. Like, let her go. And Nessa Rose's reaction is embarrassment. She tells Elphaba, please stop making a scene. Like, stop. She's more embarrassed about Elphaba than she is about what Miss Coddle is doing to her.
Mm.
And then when that becomes, all of a sudden she's flying up in the air and now everybody can see her. Yeah, she's embarrassed. And so when the other students show up and treat her normal and take her up the ramp, and now she's fine. So you do see it way early. But yeah, and the song about the Wizard and I, when it mentions Noah's sisters being embarrassed, that's the big hint that this has been a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
And that treatment has been taught by her father and enforced by the rest of Munchkin land. Like, it's normalized for her.
Yeah.
The Wizard and I, man, that song too. Wow, like there's just, I mean, nothing beats Defying Gravity for me, because that is her thesis song, right? Like that is Elphaba in a nutshell. So nothing beats that for me. But the songs are so dang good. The music, like back to talking, like when we talked about Sinners, like that was so good. Like I'm ready to talk about music if you all are, but if there's something else somebody wanted to say about Nessa Rose, or Nessa Rose's inability to, or unwillingness, maybe it's not even inability, but unwillingness to be for her sister what her sister is for her, like I would love to hear it.
I do love that Nessa Rose is tragically beautiful, and Elphaba's quip about being beautifully tragic is just
right. And that isn't what they say that Elphaba is, though. That Nessa Rose is tragically beautiful, and Elphaba is
beautifully tragic.
Yeah. And like, what an interesting contradiction that is.
Elphaba's so funny, and I love that. Like, and it does make me kind of feel better, like, because you guys saw me. I use humor as a coping mechanism, like, and so seeing her do the same freaking thing, like, it just makes me fall in love with her so much more.
Yeah, it's laugh or cry, and I usually choose laugh. If crying's vulnerable,
On crying, you can't do in public as much.
And I just want.
I do kind of wonder though, with both of them, Elphaba and Nessa, being sisters, they're both different from everyone else, but in different ways. And so one thing I was kind of thinking as I saw this was like, okay, why is Elphaba treated as such an outcast simply for having green skin, but Nessa Rose is coddled and sheltered? She's not treated as an outcast. She's very much protected, but she has a physical disability and uses a wheelchair. And so I was like, what? I was trying to think, like, why one is treated so much worse when they're both different from the norm, but in different ways.
I think it has to do with the man that raised them, that Nessa Rose's dad has a real strong suspicion that Elphaba is not his child. That he knows somehow, even if it's never been confirmed, even if it was never talked about, right? Because, like, how could it be? But, like, I think he knows somewhere that that's not his child. So I think that's why he does give the preferential treatment to Nessa Rose, who, I mean, all signs point to, and all the literature, right, points to that she is his child. Correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's my reasoning for it, but I don't know if that's accurate. But that's what I would think because I mean, like, you get that first scene that opens up with like talking about, you know, how Alpha's and Nessa's mom, you know, basically had that affair. Like, she says it, you see it, you know, and I get the feeling that if that was something that the once upon a time mayor of Munchkinland knew was happening, if it happened once, it probably happened more than once. So I think somehow there's something in him that knows that that is not his child, and he treats her accordingly.
It's also, yeah, that's absolutely the family dynamic, like the little inner circle of what's going on. But also in Oz, we kind of mentioned this earlier. Oz is not like us, this culture, the one where the so-called wizard comes from. It's totally no big deal if you're gay. It's totally no big deal if you're black. It's totally no big deal. Like, you see, the university is this like small, small scale of Oz in general.
Right, like the microcosm.
Yeah, that's the word. Thank you. You see total interaction. It, like the whole line about I don't see color because she's green, while she's talking with people of color and a whole bunch of people around her, like, which, by the way, the hairstyles, the whole diversity that's just in this university, it was so fun. Like, every time I paused the movie, it was just there, it was everywhere, and I loved it. But it's normal. There's very few times where you would have some kind of outcast, and her being green is that far out of normal. Like, yeah, it's okay. So Nessa Rose was born with a weird medical condition because of her birth and because of what they were feeding her mom. Okay, that's nothing wrong with her. That's nothing to give her an outcast for. And in fact, it's more of a reason to make sure she's treated okay and given actually preferential treatment. But yeah, there is that family dynamic. But you also, the other students at the university don't know the origin story about Nessa Rose and Elphaba. And that's why there is that different treatment. The fact that she is green is that othering. It's that whatever category that we can point lately, that's that group that we would want to distance ourselves from at all costs. And she's a symbol of that. And that's, yeah, Oz, it's normal for a lot of things that we have to fight to get basic human acknowledgement for lately. And that's why it's such a fascinating story.
And I think that othering is a good segue into talking about the animals, right? Because in my opinion, anytime you have an us versus them mentality, it's automatically danger zone, right? Because I can't even vocalize that, but that is a you know how sometimes we've used this phrase like that's a triggering phrase, like that is a triggering phrase to me. Like I go up in arms but almost immediately because us versus them, and I don't like conversations, or not even conversations, because it seems like such a quick segue into oppression, right? Us versus them, it goes back to, well, if there's a them, then who's protecting like who's protecting us, who's protecting me if there's a them, right? And I don't like that. And maybe that's because I feel like for a lot of what we've talked about, you know, like sometimes womanhood is the them in terms of us versus them. And it is a phrase that makes me just immediately on guard, because I think divisiveness is a very quick way to control people. And I think that making the animals the other, right? Othering the animals and making this distinct class difference between the animals who are clearly intelligent enough not only to speak, but to teach, that who are, you know, like there's no difference with the animals and the humans in Oz, other than the bipedal versus, quadpedal of how they move. And versus them is scary and dangerous. And that is the political crux of this story. I think that is how politicians always can quickly, start poking at those cracks or at those bits in society that are hard or that people don't want to necessarily deal with, is us versus them, and drawing that line, because it's real easy to make people think that they're safe if they're on the right side, whatever side that is.
Kind of like I've been seeing people who voted for Phil and 47, but are Cuban and Mexican and are suddenly seeing their families taken away because they were told, oh, they were just going to go after the criminals. So it's that kind of, we see it all the time in real life. And so, this movie made a lot of people uncomfortable because of that. And I'm like, good, you should be seeing the parallels. Absolutely. And they knew, like, the people who have done this musical over and over and over know that that's the root of this movie. And that's why so many of them cared about making sure that it was done so well. But yeah, there is one scene that kind of made me think back to some of our other discussions, like especially when we were talking about Sinners. When they're in the Ozdust ballroom, the only animals you see are the musicians. There's no animals dancing. You just see them playing the music, and they're really good at it. Like, that flying squirrel on the drums is just one of my favorite things ever about the whole thing. But it immediately brought to mind the phrase, they love our music, but they don't want us. So that one was huge.
They love not who creates it. Oh, that quote from Sinners. Oh,
and like early on in the show, like, of course, you see the interaction with Dulcibert taking care of Elphaba from the beginning. But even then, the animals, again, who were there at her birth, there were most of the animals freaked out still. But it would be shocking if there was something that crazy. I would definitely be like, oh, wait, even like as much as I tried to not do that. But still, for Dulcibert to be the one to take care of her, that was definitely part of why she cared. But yeah, there's so many times where you see in that environment that the animals are losing their value. Early on, when you see the Elphaba does something that breaks that plaque that has the wizard. And this happens in the book too. When that breaks, it reveals the original professors who were running the school and teaching. And they're all animals. And they had that serious respect that they were good enough, that they were worth learning from. And they were the inspiration for the university in the first place. And so you reveal the wizard has been changing things that early in the movie. But then towards the end, you really start to see, like, going to Oz, seeing the Emerald City, or not going to Oz, but like seeing the Emerald City itself and all of the things that the animals are doing and interacting, but they're not singing. It's all the humans that are singing. You see the hummingbirds, like, helping do the fingernails, which my mom's a beautician. I absolutely love watching that whole scene because I'm like, oh, I wonder what talk's going on there. And like seeing the braids, like that was fun for me for sure. But are the hummingbirds getting to chat with them while they're working? Just little details like that. But one of the most heartbreaking, of course, for me was the monkeys and knowing what happens with the monkeys. and realizing that's where the flying monkeys in the original movie came from. And there's a reason that they end up working with her later. And I know the reason, but yeah, if you've only based it off of just this movie, it can be kind of, what the heck is going on? And if you know the old movie, it can be really confusing on why are the monkeys attacking. But at that moment, yeah, the monkeys are just being used as guards, because if you know chimps, if you know
They're
a lot of they can be crazy. And they can absolutely, if there's somebody that they need to guard, if there's somebody attacking them, they are absolutely dangerous. And so there's a reason that they're being used as the guards. But when you first see Chistery up close, the head guard, you can see he's got two color eyes. One of them is green, and the one that is green has a scar going all the way down across it. Something happened to him that caused that eye to go green, and that made him be the one in charge. Some kind of punishment that he feels already under threat of, okay, fine, I'll take charge. I'll make sure the rest of us are okay. And I'll be able to tell you guys, here's what to do to make sure that we're okay. And immediately the wizard threatens them. He doesn't threaten them directly. He says, if you don't go after their families. And it's horrible. But
and it's so because it's this, right? Like who's going to stand up for someone, or go to bat for someone, or right? Like, who's going to say, no, this is your families are at risk, and your spouses, your children, and like it's a quick way to control people or control the animals in the situation.
Mm-hmm. And we see that today. A lot of people back in November, we were talking about it. We're talking about, okay, but what about the military? That came up. And a lot of people, there's no way that the military would act that unethically. They have things in place that would absolutely stop such messed up orders such as that. And a lot of us were screaming internally and saying, no, they are built to obey. They are broken down and rebuilt to obey even the most atrocious orders. That's why they're in the military. Militaries are not used for peace. They are used for violence. And the idea that they would somehow stop and protect the vulnerable people who are in the military, we're assuming they're in this brother and sisterhood. No, they will turn on them if that's their orders.
That's why when you said that, I was thinking, that's why my older brother always had problems with his supervisors when he was in the Marines. Because, like, I don't know what number he is, but he might be an 8, because he's like, no, if something is not right, I'm not going to do it just because you're above me or over me. And his superiors did not like that.
That's why I could never join the military. I'm like, absolutely not. I can't deal with it. Let's see. I'm trying to go through some of the other notes I found about the animals. But seeing Chistery's eye, and also seeing Elphaba was the only one who cared about his pain. Linda didn't. But she was the one that felt horrible. And when she realized it wasn't just Chistery that she'd affected, that's why she immediately went and saw the other monkeys.
Yeah, and it was she didn't know she was going to do that, and like to be that powerful, and like, I mean, she was like, oh, I'm going to try and impress these people, and they're going to help me help the animals, right? And it's like, oh no, we just weaponized you against one thing you don't want to be weaponized against. So yeah, she's mad. It should be. She should be.
Yeah, the other scene where the animals are gathering, and
in the kind of pub.
I think it's somebody's home. I think it's Delman's home. Am I getting his name?
Oh, is
I
it?
think it's Delman. Professor Delman. I might be. I wrote it down and I'm not looking at it right now.
Which,
But the goat professor, when he's talking about the animals that are already being disappeared, who are already being made so they can't talk, that part where they're using the shadows is it's terrifying. It had those elements of horror that it's got, like, of course you're like, you use like a flashlight to tell a scary story, right? It had that kind of feeling to me. And so it just emphasized the fear that they were dealing with.
Right. And the premonitions too that Elphaba gets of all the animals in the cages, right? Like, and I know that's part of her magic, but it's also part of her perception and her connection to the animals. Like, I don't think she would have paid attention to that without that connection. And like seeing, you know, her professor in the cage, seeing like just like the cage, like that element of the cage, that motif of the cage, knowing that she has been in a emotional cage her entire life is so relevant.
Yeah, when she says, if it's so good, why is he trembling? She's able to actually like pay attention to how the animals are feeling. And it's just, it was so good how they handled the animals. Like, every one of them, even Fiero's horse, who, like, yeah, it was at night, and he's a dark blue horse, so you couldn't quite tell, but you could hear him. In fact, it was the second time around that I realized I was hearing the horse. Because I was so, like, heartbroken, everything else. Dude, when I was in the theaters, I was not okay. I was crying the majority of the movie. This is also a time where I'm, like, healing from chemo, and when I'm going through chemo, I go full on logic. I have to shove every emotion down. So watching this movie in theaters was at a time where I was like intentionally letting all of the feelings. I was not good. But yeah, seeing that second time, I was able to realize, wait, that's his horse. That's the horse. And not just his horse, but like the horse who's probably family friend that's been like supporting him the whole time he's been bouncing around all of these other schools. So that was interesting hearing him for real.
I was going to ask, how do you know how long, at this point, how long has the wizard been in Oz?
That's a great question.
I mean, Elphaba's life, right? Like Elphaba's entire life, at least, right?
Yeah.
Or like, you know, somewhat young. So probably at least 15 years. Right?
I kind of want to check. Let's see.
Okay.
She has the pop-up book at that point that's talking about the wizard. I do know that. So let's see.
I'm just wondering because I'm like, I'm wondering the people that are there that are older, like, do they remember how it was with
before
the wizard came along, and how peaceful things were and everything? Because I can understand for like young generations not knowing and being grown up, raised, brainwashed to think like, you know, this is normal. The animals are not supposed to, you know, talk or interact with us. They're supposed to be in cages, all this stuff. But for the older generations, obviously there are always going to be those that are easily influenced and be swayed to that side. But I wouldn't think everyone, there should be some that remember how it was before that would want to, like, basically do what Alphabet's doing and fight back against all these changes.
Okay, so I found it. According to the book, the author put it, the wizard is in power for about 40 years before he decides to leave and go back to Omaha, I think. Yeah, go back to wherever he went. Oh, yeah, he says he's from Omaha, but he was also traveling through Kansas as that, like, mind reader or whatever he was pretending to be at the time.
Oh, he was in Oz for 40 years total.
Yep. Which kind of fits, like, knowing how old Jeff Goldblum is. Yeah, that kind of tracks. So, like, yeah, they actually did a really good casting when I know his rough age. That gets even better. But yeah, so like 40 years, I'm 39. And like, so I've seen what was going on as a kid when Clinton was a president, and then when like Junior became president, and then like Obama, and then him, who shall not be named. If you can't tell, I'm sorry if you believe in the other dude, whoever is watching this, get your priorities straight. And why are you watching this movie and still keeping that opinion? Anyway, but yeah, between all of that, I have seen a lot of gradual changes. There were some things that were going on right when I was born, like when Reagan was around. And so being able to follow that line and see gradually some positive changes, but also a lot of horrible things that have been established. I can understand how after 40 years, he could become this big wizard and have this big influence by then.
Well, I mean, 40 years is about a generation, single generation, right?
Easily,
and it's like,
if not two.
That's, you're kind of getting towards maybe two, but like that just shows how quickly things can change. That if it can be a generation or a generation and a half, two, right? Like 40 years is not anything in the blink of like the time of even the earth, or like anything like that. And it's like, dang, like things can change very quickly, and historically we've seen it. We've seen things change over a generation and a half. Like, I mean, one of my favorite things that kind of relates to this is it wasn't very long ago that women still didn't have the right to vote. Like, there are women alive today. Now they're getting fewer and fewer, right? There are women alive who did not have the right to vote when they were younger. Because, it's only just over 100 years old, right? That's a right. Who knows how long, or who knows how long. But it happens quickly, and like, yes, 100 years is, almost 2.5 of a generation of 40, right? But it's not that long. It's not that long at the end of the day. And I think that is a really important subtext of the movie. And the in general is like, and it goes back to the Lorax too, right? If people like you don't care a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's just not. Like, and I think that's the ultimate crux of that story, right? Like, if people don't care, then you get complicit, and look where you end up. And it can happen so quickly.
Yeah, the lion cub, again, he's just a baby, literally just a baby. And he's already being put in a cage. Which are brand new concepts. And oh my gosh, I'm trying not to cry because that whole thing just makes me furious. It makes me want to sob. But look again, that's a brand new generation that's thinking this is normal. They're just getting started. And the good news is I know about that lion. I know what happens to that lion. And if you stop, most people also know where that lion ends up. But that's one of those little foreshadowing moments. But yeah, it doesn't take much for them to suddenly have like Mama and Papa Bear and Baby Bear instead of just like having their own house that they're kicking Goldilocks out of because she's like breaking and entering, and suddenly now they're all shackled. It doesn't take long for that to happen. But yeah, that scene, ooh. And I get it. I totally understand why the other animals, instead of welcoming Elphaba as an ally, panicked and bailed and ran. Because they couldn't know for sure if she was safe to be around.
Right.
And
her professor knew.
Right.
But yeah, so I give them no judgment for taking off. Because a lot of people are like, well, why didn't they stick around? Like, she was totally on their side. They didn't know that.
Right. What did you say, Alicia? I didn't hear. It cut out.
Oh, they've seen it time and time again where people are not.
Well, now you're cutting out for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh no. Try again. Okay.
The animals have seen time and time again that people are not to be trusted. So everything that they've ever seen, like, especially in their current climate, is someone to be trusted. This is someone here.
It keeps cutting in and out.
Oh no. I'm so sorry.
Like, we got most of it, just not the last bit.
Just it's not their current climate that's safe for people. People are not safe.
Right.
Oh no. Now she's gone.
I think
That's okay.
she'll hop back on when she can. But yeah, what was I gonna say?
Oh, so I want to go kind of back to Elphaba's sense of humor because I know that we mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
But like when she's first like showing up and everyone's like, oh my gosh, and they're like, but you're green, and she's like, what?
And then like, through everything though, and she's like, no, it's not this. No, it was this. Yes,
Or like my other favorite part that just I had to pause because I was laughing. I mean, it made me laugh so hard. But when Glinda's like first becoming friends with her, and she's like, "Wait, that was your first party?" And she stops and she says, "Well, do funerals count?"
No, welcome.
She's lovely.
Yeah. I forgot what we were listening for.
I was say fashion and songs were my other 2 points I was hoping to touch on at least with you ladies.
Definitely. Right. You got me as long as you want. My husband's gone to like a barbecue at his family's house. So, he's playing golf with his brothers right now. Maybe one or the other. But yeah, I got time.
The fashion, I'm trying to think, because are you specifically talking about, the difference when they're at the school, everyone's in blue except for Elphaba and Glinda, where she's all pink, and Elphaba kind of has some blue, but also a lot of black in her uniform. Or
it's not just that. It's how the lines of Elphaba's outfits are, more like defined, right? Like if you're looking at some of her outfits, they're more defined. And then after, and Glenda flouncy, right? And it's more like, oh, I'm sure it's the performance of it. But then after they're friends, after they're in Emerald City, you see Glenda's got some more of those like straight kind of lines to her outfits. And Elphaba gets a little bit more like of her puff sleeves. And so it's the way that they used fashion to show how their relationship changed. It's not just, yes, Glenda's in pink and everything of hers is pink and her entire world is pink. It's, hey, these subtle touches, they have influenced each other, right? Which is going to be their end song, right? Because I knew you. I have been. Or good, right? Like, I know, right? But it's not just that. And like even the professors or the animals, like when they're like, they're kind of dressed in typical professor outfits, and the way that the fashion is used, kind of like when we talked about Black Panther. Remember how we talked about like the mothers, the Queen Mother's like white, like the funeral garb and all of the conversations that we had around that. It feels very similar to me with the fashion of the choices that were made, that the fashion was maybe not necessarily a character, but definitely a supporting factor of the scene. The fashion helped make the scenes pop, in my opinion. And I thought that the way that they use the fashion to do the characterization and to show some of the growth and the changes that the characters were going through was a really interesting choice, in my opinion. But I'm always kind of focused on that stuff, as it's just interesting to me that, like, because I've always believed fashion is a way to express yourself. And but like I noticed when, like, after they were in Emerald City, that they kind of, their outfits just had these little touches of things that felt more like the other. And I thought that was really interesting too.
No, the clothing is definitely one of my favorite factors. Like for example, at the dance, Elphaba still has that black pretty much everywhere. But the second time I watched, because I was able to pause and it was like just me and I was closer to the screen, I could tell, you could see that she has, it's not just an all black dress, she has lace going down the front. You can see the green a little bit underneath that lace, and same with her arms. So she's still kind of revealing herself. And like I know that the black hat was a joke, but man, does she rock it. Like, it just suits her, especially at the end where she just kind of tilts it with that sass.
Yeah.
So
well, and I like
awesome that she owned
that. It all comes to a, right? I like how that hat comes to a sharp point, because we're making a sharp point by being there, by wearing it. And yes, Glenda gave it to her as a way to mock her openly and disrespectfully, but it doesn't change the fact that, like you said, Steph, she rocks it, and it becomes her kind of essence, right? That there's like, okay, let's go. Like, it's like step up a little bit, right? Like, okay, you wanted a witch, you've got one. Now what? Right? Now what? Go ahead, try again.
The other thing too, like,
go ahead.
The clothing was just gorgeous too. Like even like the student uniforms. Yeah, they're very kind of bland, so that they're specifically uniforms, which I understand the point of uniforms in school. Still bugs me. I still have issues on it, but they looked great. And also, it also still went with the theme of Oz is just so pretty much at that point still welcoming towards all these different people. Like one issue I have with uniforms is, okay, if you're going to have them mandatory, are you going to have them custom fitted for each student? Because a lot of schools these days aren't willing to do that.
No.
But they did with Shiz University. There were so many different body shapes and sizes and colors and everything, and they all fit. It looked great. But then the different kinds of uniforms. If you wanted to wear straight pants, you could. If you wanted to wear all skirt, you could. I loved that there were combinations of pants and then like a skirt halfway. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I'm like, hey, I could rock that. That would have fit me in high school. But just to have all these different options. And yeah, freaking Glinda was obnoxious, insisting that she get to wear all pink because she has main character syndrome. But yeah, it was still amazing. Like, and then there was the part where they're at the ball, and it still has this wide variety. It showed how eclectic the styles were. I thought it was cool that they, in a lot of ways, honored the original Wizard of Oz movie and the time frame it was set in. There were a whole lot of that 20s and 30s and 40s styles that just, but then there were also a lot of modern styles, and they all went beautifully together, which is why when Elphaba shows up, and it's so, again, it's just like when she showed up at the university in the first place. It's that shock all over again.
And if you look at Glenda wearing those yes, she's froofy, but she has some of that like traditional value expressed in her outfits. And then you look at Elphaba, and it's like she's kind of coming more into a little bit of a maybe modern age or modern style. And I thought it was a really, the costume designer for that really fashion in a way that was not just visually appealing, but was effective, right? It was effective at pointing out these kind of subtleties and these moments and these like character defining things.
Mm-hmm. And then you get to Oz. Or no, sorry, I keep doing that. Because every time I hear Wizard of Oz, my brain thinks, oh yeah, the wizard is specifically in Oz. No, Oz is the world. Right. But yeah, so then you get to the Emerald City.
Emerald City.
And it's opulent, and it's, everybody is extravagant, mm-hmm. and everybody looks like these so impeccable details, which you get a hint of with Professor Morrible and her amazing style, because she got to be coming from the Wizard of Oz like culture and have that sense of style that the other professors don't. So that's why she stands out when she's at the school. Yeah, but when she's in Emerald City, she fits right in. And but oh my gosh, I paused on a part with her and I saw some details in the neck and how I thought it was weird, but then I realized it's just her style. She has like part of it going around, but then the other part, I can't remember the word, the collar points out. And every time you see her, that's how her style is. It has this round and then a point towards the end on the other side. But then I paused on a part with the wizard and a close-up, and I got to see the tiny little stitches and glitter, and oh my gosh, it was gorgeous. Those clothes are a work of art in themselves.
Her Madame Marvel's outfits were the first thing that stood out to me when she's introduced that I noticed. And I'm looking at some of the outfits right now on here on Google. What were you saying before, Alicia, about the lines on Glenda's outfits?
Just that they felt like that there was like a little bit of a like switching, like some of the details that felt like they would have been on Glenda's outfits became on Elphaba's outfits, like noticing some of those like the cuts and shapes of those outfits. That
okay.
Yeah, not like the stripe lines, but like the fashion design lines, like the way that the
cut of it more, the cut
Yeah.
of the materials.
hers became less curvy and a bit more like conservative and matching more like the other students, really. Which was definitely noticeable when she, Fierro, and Elphaba are sitting together in their history class. Like, that's when it really stood out. Oh my gosh, wait. There's a bit of a change. They've had an influence on each other. Let's see. Okay, so
Yeah.
we've got to go. We got to go with the music.
We got to go to the music. I was saying that's probably the best way to wrap it up, honestly.
Absolutely.
It's the musical, right? So
we have to.
Of course, I loved every single song.
I do apologize. I did put a note about the fashion. It's a small little detail, but it's when she's singing Popular and they're doing the whole like not remake. The
makeover.
Thank you. Yeah. But they're doing that whole scene. There's that moment where Elphaba's sitting down and she's had her glasses taken off. And this happened to me each time when I saw it in theaters and when I saw it like at home. But it was the first time that I noticed that Elphaba has these really cute little trail of freckles going across cheek to cheek. And it's so cool. Like, her glasses are amazing with that really cool little curve.
I love that shape. Oh, that like S shape. Oh, I love
it. Yeah, her glasses are.
I'm like, I wish I could pull that off. But yeah, without it was just this cute little detail that just, I know, kind of related to the fashion. But yeah. But anyway, yes, back to the music.
So the music, obviously I love all of the songs, but it took me a while. It didn't dawn on me until a few times after watching it that the wizard and I, like, there's so much like clues and stuff foreshadowing the story when she's like, I'd be so happy I could melt.
Right?
And how that one line where it's like, how all of Oz will be celebrating her name. What? Now I'm trying to think of the lyric.
Yeah, there will be a celebration throughout Oz, all to do with me, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's that first vision that she has when she's looking at the face statue of the wizard and sees that vision, which is so ooh.
Yeah. And then we touched on it earlier, but also that line about Nesta Rose being ashamed, her dad not being proud of her, all of that was such a good song, like such good storytelling within the song. Let's see. What and of course, we know some of the popular songs. Of course, we'll get to Defying Gravity, but of course, popular, I think most people probably know that one, even without seeing.
And Unlimited.
Yeah. And then I think before I saw the movie, Popular and Defying Gravity were the only two songs I had heard before seeing the movie. And then, and obviously I love those. And so many more. I love every single song. But Loathing became one of my favorites as well. The way they just start off writing these letters and describing each other to their families. And again, Steph, it brings up the Alphabet's humor where she's like, blonde. That was so hilarious. But just also,
Loathing had one of my favorite endings as well. Because it's like right when they both get back to their room, and Alphaba just scares her, and just that cackle, that first cackle that you hear from the Wicked Witch of the West. Oh, it felt so good.
So, like, oh, we're gonna get a spear.
And it wasn't just like a regular laugh. It was
yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Clothing. I mean, Unlimited, just all of it. All of it was so good.
Also, what was that one? She sings, Not That Girl. Oh my gosh. I was like, no, but you are.
And that scene, like where she's walking through that tunnel with the flowers coming up, and like, so there was one thing that you want to talk about witchy stuff. You want to talk about things like anagrams. Glenda is air in every way. She's an airhead. She's like paper thin and full of it. Like
bubble. In the bubble.
Yeah, and she's in the bubbles. There's all sorts of things about air. Fierro, of course, has got fire. That's an easy one with his name and his personality. Like, but then Elphaba is earth and green, and not just because she's green, but like growth. She has that, and like the power of Mother Earth and all of that tied to her. But when she's walking through that tunnel and she has all of this, like, it's at night, it's dark, but she has these beautiful flowers just show up around her, and it's amazing, and there's so much hope. But then she loses faith in herself that she's not worthy of him, or really any guy. And just that hit so beautifully, the way that they did that scene. And yeah, like, it made me feel like the times when I was feeling like, no, I'm too much of a tomboy for him. Nah, I'm not worthy of that good Mormon boy. Like, all of those times, like, it hit pretty hard. Nowhere near as No One Mourns the Wicked.
Oh,
dude.
Yeah.
So many of us, when we're talking about that song, like, those lyrics hit. They don't just hit, they like stab. Like, I again, when I was in theaters, like, I wrote a note down about, it wasn't just like a feeling like my heart in my throat couldn't breathe kind of pain. It was that, it was a huge pain in my stomach. It was a heavy weight. I almost would have had to walk out of that theater if it was any stronger. But then to have, like, at the very end, that total reverse of power, of, no, oh, you don't want me? I want myself. I want all of myself, and I will show you my value.
Well, and I think, the beginning, No One Mourns the Wicked, I think, like, after seeing the whole movie and knowing all the context. That's what, when you go back and watch it again, that's what makes it even worse when that opening comes on, because you're like, it's frustrating because it's like she's not the wicked one here. Um, so yeah, it's.
But then the honest answer, like, which I thought was kind of cool, watching it again. And because I love musicals, but there's one thing that I always struggle with. Anytime you have a really high soprano, their words often get lost. I can hear the notes, but I can't always hear the words that they're singing. And so watching it the second time, I intentionally used subtitles the whole movie so that I didn't miss anything. And so finally getting to really hear what Glinda was saying, and the whole idea of no one mourns the wicked. Like, I got the idea that she actually did, but seeing what she was saying and just, it was even more heartbreaking, which when it came to the point of, yeah, there's a little kid that says, okay, but why do evil people exist? Why does that happen? Which you get that question a lot when you grow up in religions. And she gave, the very basic answer that a lot of us hear when we grew up in religions of, oh, sometimes it just happens. Sometimes they came from a rough life. Oh, sometimes they lose faith. But then the older one shows up and insists on the honest truth. Were you friends with her? Did you know her? Did you actually care about her? Tell me if this evil person was actually evil, or if there was something else going on. That's the question a lot of us later on really wanted to know the answer. And so, yeah, for her to be like, absolutely, yes, I was. And then the judgment, suddenly all the judgment, all the shock that Elphaba got when she first showed up, now Glinda knows that shock, because all of the Munchkins are like, wait, what? And now she's like tainted. So it was really cool being able to watch that after hearing Nobody Mourns the Wicked. Because, yeah, you hear those words all the time, like that whole song, that if you leave this religion, then you're evil, and you're going to die alone, and you're going to die lonely because you didn't want to be, part of the good. Oh, if you stray from the path, you will not become part of heaven. You hear that all the time. And so that was just heart-wrenching for a lot of us.
Yeah.
I don't know if they meant to have that effect when they did that song, but dude.
I mean, I think we have to assume that it probably was meant, maybe not necessarily aimed at a religious background or crazy upbringing, but going back to othering, the feeling of being othered. How many times have any of our choices, but that was, the judgment that gets cast upon those choices because of religion or background, upbringing, whatever, right? Just even somebody disagrees with the choices we've made. I think absolutely it was meant to be that effective. I don't know if we can say that it was meant to be that effective because of religion, but I think it absolutely was meant to have that effect, because for the people that get it, they get it, right? If you know, you know.
Yeah. And if you know, we're sorry that you know,
But you're not alone in the know, right? You're not alone in the knowing. But all right, can we talk about Defying Gravity, please?
Yes.
I knew going in to the movie, even though I knew nothing else, I was like, that has to be the ending scene. It has to be, because that song, if you listen to the lyrics, that song leaves no doubts about the fact that we are at the pinnacle of her character development, and everything after that is different. And it has to be. And so I was surprised that they were able to stretch it out as long as they did, because the song isn't really that long. But I just, like, as soon as it started, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this is it. Oh my God, how are we getting to the end of this movie? And, like, and I mean, my fiance was in the room with me at that point. So I was like, I was on the edge of the bed, like losing my nuggets, right? Losing control. And Cynthia did an amazing job with that song. She really did. But I'm an Adina fan, right? So, I mean, the bar was high for that song to get going. But that is the character song. If you had the wrong person in that Alpha role, that song would have indicated that, right? Like, you would have, there's no way to do Alphaba without Defying Gravity. And that's somebody who doesn't even know the lore, the background, the movie, the play, any of that. The only thing that I know is that song. And that is literally just her thesis song. Like, you ask that question, she's got her answer now. And everything is going to be different. And it has to be. And it is just, it is such an incredible song from the get-go. Like, come with me. We're better together. And she's like, I can't. This isn't my line. And she's like, Elvie, just apologize. You can still be with the wizard. She's like, no, I can't want it anymore because it's wrong. And she knows that. She will not sacrifice a single part of herself, her beliefs, anything for anyone anymore. And it, like, that line, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps even talking about it. Like, if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free, right? And it, like, there is freedom in the independence, but there's more freedom in standing your ground or sticking to your airspace, maybe. And stuff to your point of, like, Linda being air and Alphaba being earth, that is accurate because of that diametric opposition, right? Like air and earth, it's just like fire and water are the balancing acts, so they balance each other. And then to on a broomstick in the air, right? She couldn't have done that without Glenda, but at the same time, like, she has to elevate it to herself, right? But like the rock steadiness, that strength, all of that to get put into this setting stage of the sky is just phenomenal. And how that was expressed, she did a great job singing that song, but she didn't that song, she felt it. And that, I think, came across in the movie. And they're like, you're not after Glenda. Like, even she's still being true to herself at the end of that movie, at every scene. You're not looking for her. It's me. Right? And, you get that huge power ballad. It's me. Like, she, like, goes for it and means it. And she's like, okay, line in the sand drawn. Everything stems from this moment. And even if you don't believe in me, I don't care, because I believe in me. And that's enough. And it's good enough. And I don't care what you say about it anymore. I'm done taking your opinions about it. And I just was so thrilled with how they filmed that, how they handled that entire song, how they handled that end scene, even though it was like 15 or 20 minutes and the song's only like 2.5, 3. Like, I was thoroughly impressed and so proud of the work that went into that, even having no part of it, just getting to enjoy it, right? Because I think at this point, so Steph, you said you're 39, I'm 34. And Vanessa, how old are you, if you're comfortable sharing?
35. I'll be 36 in October.
Okay. So by this point, right, I think we've all found a line where it's like, nah, I'm not compromising on this anymore. And if we're lucky enough, it's that sense of self. And Alphaba showing that and doing all of the Defying Gravity, saying, I'm good enough for me. I don't care if I'm good enough for you. That is irreplaceable. To get to see that on a big screen, to get to believe that, it's not even just to see it, but it's to believe it and live it. It doesn't matter what you think of me anymore, because I am enough for myself. And I'm sorry if I'm not for you. And if I'm too much for you, go find less. Go find less. Right? Like it's an incredible ending. But it couldn't have been any other ending to that movie. So I knew going in, like that song has to be the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So I was still surprised because of how they were able to draw it out, but not draw it out for the sake of drawing it out. Draw it out with the story, with intention, and still get the points across. I loved it. Sorry I made you cry, Steph. I'm not sure if you want to talk about it.
No. No, because you did basically cover everything, but there's one also thing that the more I look through my notes, the more because again, I avoided the music forever because I wanted to enjoy it with the musical, and also because I knew the story of the book, and I didn't want that to taint the musical, if that makes any sense. But there's a part when it's just before Popular, right after the ball, right when they get back. And they're talking about, well, let's tell secrets. And Elphaba shares hers. And for once in the whole movie, the one time, Glinda drives me crazy, and understandably so. Like, she's built that way. It's on purpose. But for once, she made me cry. Because she says that might be your secret, but it doesn't make it true. My own origin story is kind of a mess. Like, I joke, like Elphaba, I joke about it. I joke about how it's more like Jerry Springer and less like a Disney movie. But yeah, just because of the secret around why I was born and everything that was built around that for years, just because it's my secret, it doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it doesn't make my mom less worthy. It doesn't make my dad innocent. None of it is true. It doesn't make me tainted. So yeah, going back between the very first song to the very end song, tying all that together with that moment of Glinda's quote, that's the whole thing for me. That's the whole, you could have just those pieces and you could tell the whole story for me. So yeah, there have been times because I've rejected that secret as my origin, as my reality, that I have cut out people who've believed it. And it hurts, but I don't regret it. I do it again every single time. Yeah, that's why it's making me, and there's also been times where I've had family members tell me, all you have to do is apologize. Just apologize. It'll be okay. And yeah, I can't do it. I would rather have that honesty and rather be like, nah, you guys are kind of messing up on this. I'm choosing I'm choosing this other narrative, and yeah, it's
and I'm choosing me, right? It's not just the narrative, but I'm choosing me.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you won't, I'm choosing me.
Yep. And come to find out, I've got a lot of other families who've also been told the same thing. They've had different secrets that they've been born around, different stories they've been told. And a lot of their family, a lot of their parents have bought into that story. And when they find out, they've refused. And we've had pretty much a similar thing. We've lost family because we've chosen that truth, that our actual truth and not this secret that we were told is true.
But I think you had at one point have Defying Gravity on your wheelchair somewhere, don't you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I did it with my cricket. I don't know if it's no can see it from here. It's on the bottom of the.
Yeah, I don't know if we can see it. I think you sent us a picture of it at one point, but I don't know if we can see it.
It's just like on the bottom there. It has alphabet and it says Defying Gravity.
That's beautiful.
What were your, I mean, I know what your thoughts were. I mean, obviously you love it, but anything that you wanted to add to what we've said about that song so far?
I mean, you guys have pretty much covered like a lot of what I'm thinking as well. And yeah, I think the whole like kind of the last verse before the end where she's like, so if you care to find me, look to the western sky. As someone told me, like that whole verse, it's my absolute favorite part of the whole song. You know, to those who ground me, take a message back from me. Tell them how I'm defying gravity. Like that whole thing is just like you were saying, the epitome of like her whole character arc, where it's, you know, she's not going to be held back any longer by what anyone else says. Which I'm sure, like, that, I'm sure that's a moment, and this is a song that probably hits for just about all of us, but for very different reasons. And yeah, I'm just like kind of at a loss for words for what else I can say about it, because I have that song on repeat over and over.
Rent free, as you said at one point. It lives rent free in my head.
Yep.
And it's one that I'll just come back to, right? Like when I'm struggling with something, or like, you know, it's like no, there's this sense of self that is motivating enough, right? That if when I'm in doubt, like that'll do it. Like, yeah, because I can do it. I can. If you think I can't, watch me. I'll do it. I'll do it anyway, right? And I think, like that Vanessa, that it resonates for people on so many different levels, but it also resonates for me at different points, right? And sometimes the part that resonates for me, the first, like the last time I listened to it, isn't the part that resonates right now, right? Or in this current situation. And it's really interesting to me that it's so expansive in its entirety.
Yeah, because I mentioned that that verse before the end, that's one of my favorites. But before that, you know, going back listening to it other times, it was the beginning part. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm done with playing by the rules of someone else's thing. That hits. It's very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, we're all just like getting lost in our own thoughts about it, right? Like, right. I can tell, because I am too. Like, it's Yeah, something has changed. Something is not the same.
I'm just kind of thinking like, okay, I definitely need to put this back on after.
I am. Oh, I was just gonna say I probably have to go in about 5-ish, 10-ish minutes, 5-ish, something like that. About 10-ish. I'm almost to a point where we need to stop for. We're almost home, but we've almost got to stop. So thank you for making the ride go faster.
There is one thing in that scene, which again, like I've heard pieces of that song. It's when you're a choir geek, it's kind of impossible to not hear that one. In fact, I know that there's a song that we were doing for one of our concerts that is probably actually going to be in the second part. But there's a part. Okay, so you remember when they're first fighting? They're first forced to share the same room, and they're fighting about the door staying open or closed. And that's the first time that, like, we see Elphaba break glass. And it was the second time that I watched it, I couldn't help but notice, and I might have been seeing things, I might have been looking into it too much because that's what I do. But I couldn't help but see in that broken space the shape of a witch, like her hat, her nose, like her profile. And then at the end, when suddenly she's leaping across the top of the tower and she breaks through the glass window, I couldn't help but see it as like a callback. Or if you're going the other way, I couldn't see the other part as foreshadowing. So that was just a weird little notice. The other part that was beautiful was as she's falling, she's seeing herself as a little girl. And one thing that is powerful for me is kind of talking or writing to younger versions of me and kind of discussing like what we went through, what really is going on. It's okay. You're going to survive this. Those people were wrong about you. And, oh, it's okay that you made this mistake. Those little conversations. So for her to be able to see that as the last piece to gain that power to fly was just so perfect. The way that they did it that way. I don't know if they did that in the play, but that was a beautiful little detail. And also a funny little piece. I loved that they had the Idina and was it Kristen?
Yeah,
the original singers in the play, the little mini play.
I loved it.
One little awesome detail that Idina did was she did that little last trill. That is the last little musical phrase. She did that in the musical play, and I loved the way that they were messing with each other, like their counterpart actresses. Like that was just that was a beautiful little scene to kind of have like that baton pass that we are not the only ones who are going to own these songs. Like you've earned being remembered for this. And also knowing like how much the Ariana, and I can't remember her name,
Cynthia.
And how much that they wanted so badly to play those parts because they grew up fans of these musics.
Right.
And that was, again, just like the people who did this are fans of these songs, are fans of this story, whether it's fans of the book, fans of the play, any piece of it. They put their heart into it and they made it so freaking relatable. Just these little details were just gorgeous. And that book, the book was written 30 years ago. So there's, like you said, there's been at least a full generation that's been able to pick up this story at some point or another.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just getting to see this in a whole other way. And I'm so glad you guys told me that the new trailers are out. I'm going to ignore them, but I'm glad to know that it's on the way.
Yeah. Can't wait for the second. But yeah, this was a great conversation as always, as usual. We could probably go forever with these movies, but yeah, thanks for being here with me today, you guys, and discussing it. Even with the signal problems, it was still really good discussion. So I'm glad you both were able to be here. Um, for those that are watching the replay and you've seen Wicked, let us know in the comments below what were your thoughts, your favorite moments, favorite songs, scenes, all of that. Let us know in the comments below.
And I'm down to do a part 2 recap after it comes out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do it.
We'll definitely have to do a part 2 when it comes out.
Yeah. I was going to say, Holly and Heather, we know you've both seen it. If you end up getting to watch the replay at some point, please, we'd love to hear your comments. I was going to say, and Teresa, if you do, those are our other co-hostesses of Diversity's Lit.
Yep. So, yeah. So leave your comments below, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye.
Bye.